where you are as I pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we are before you today with a humble spirit and a bowed head, I want to begin by saying thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here. Thank you for your many abundant blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to be involved in purposeful work to help others. Thank you for the continued wisdom that you give in these trying times. Thank you for the ability to work together peacefully when we may not even agree. I pray today for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council this morning. We are in some trying times today, but you never told us that the road would be easy. What you did promise us was that you would never leave us or forsake us, and we stand on your word. Stand on the embodiment of the love, the compassion, the grace, and the mercy that you continuously give us in spite of. You said in your word, in the book of Jeremiah, that you knew thee before you formed thee. Therefore, you already knew that we would be in our positions today. So I pray that the agenda set before this council today aligns with your will as decisions are made that will affect the people of our city. I pray that you continue to order our steps according to your will and your way, and keep us from hurt, harm, and danger as we continue to give you the honor, the praise, and the glory that you so deserve. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll this time?
Vieira.
Here.
Dingfelder.
Here.
Maniscalco. Carlson.
Here.
Cedro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Here.
And Dubes.
Here. Attorney Max, would you please indicate the rules of public comment, sir?
Yes, sir. This virtual meeting of the CRA is being held in accordance with declarations and provisions of Governor's Executive Order 20-69 as it's been modified and extended. The last modification and extension was Executive Order 20-193 and CRA Resolution 2020-07. This means that this meeting is being conducted by remote participation or teleconferencing, which is referred to by the state of Florida statute and rules as communication media technology. Public comment the public is allowed to participate in public comment can be provided by various means, in writing by email or through the U.S. mail, by voicemail, or by speaking remotely. You have to file a request with the city clerk's office or by appearing at the Tampa Convention Center, where we provided a device for people to also participate live during the meeting. Members of the public are also can also watch and listen to this meeting via Spectrum and Frontier and through their computer and via Facebook. There's 3 minutes allowed for each speaker during public comment. That would conclude my introductory comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Madam Clerk, we may begin public comment. Do we have anyone standing by the convention center or any voice recordings this morning?
No, sir. We did not receive any public comment requests or recordings, and there is no one present at the Tampa Convention Center at this time.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. At this time, we'll go ahead and go to staff reports. Item number 1, monthly report for CAC Representative.
Good morning, Chair Goods and Michelle Van Loan, the Community Redevelopment Department. We have Steve Barbas, the Vice Chair of our CAC and YBOR, speaking this morning on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Ms. Van Loan.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Steve Barbas. I am the Vice Chair of the YBOR City Development Corporation. I actually represent the YBOR City Museum on its board as well. I've been on this board for 4 years, and today I am substituting for Chris Wojciech, who is not available. The board and its committees have met regularly since the beginning of COVID-19, both on a monthly basis and primarily by Zoom. The board has dealt with everything from rooster populations to the cleaning and clarifications of issues that address Ybor City on a regular basis, such things as pop-up parties, which were a regular occurrence in Ybor City, which we had to deal with for quite some time and now seem to be under control. We've also had regular reports in the transportation and public safety meetings from Heartline with regard to the free transportation. They provide us census reports in terms of people utilizing the streetcars, and also the projected use of expansion for the streetcar lines, as well as adding additional streetcars, some more modern than the old streetcars. We likewise receive monthly reports on crime control to the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Pleased to report that crime overall is significantly lower and down. As far as graffiti control is concerned, we also deal with graffiti control in the Ybor City area. Beautification and cleanliness of Ybor City are certainly hallmarks of one of the things that we try to do in Ybor City. Sidewalk cleaning by way of pressure washing. We're dealing on an ongoing basis with the archway, and we're trying to establish a new archway for the entranceway to Ybor City. We've established new pavers along some of the streets. You may have seen those on 7th Avenue between 14th and 15th Street. We have a monuments committee that's being started to construct monuments along 7th Avenue as well. There have been some issues with regard to parking concerns, those for employees who work in Ybor City, as well as parking lots who do not have attendants that are supposed to be there after certain late night hours. And code enforcement is now working with us in that regard as well. Speaking of code enforcement, they've been a valuable partner with the YCDC for purposes of lots that are dilapidated or houses that need to be cited. The homeless situation is another thing that we regularly deal with the YCDC. We have a liaison with the City of Tampa Police Department who works with us regularly to try to control the homeless situation in Ybor City. We have multiple subcommittees as well. Recently, we had a co-sponsorship of Special Events Committee. We had 20 applications for grants. Of those 20, 19 were granted full requests in terms of the monies that they requested for events to take place in Ybor City during the next fiscal year. We also have another subcommittee in Bring Back the Bricks. That is a committee which is checking into the feasibility and appropriateness of rebricking parts of Ybor City, and particularly 7th Avenue. The Ybor City Environmental Services, or ES team, has expanded its areas and responsibility for cleaning and landscaping. I'm also pleased to report that the bathrooms in both of the public garages have been upgraded and are now being utilized. Paving the crosswalks, as I mentioned, in Ybor City was a big accomplishment this year between 14th and 15th Street. And we are still receiving grants for facades for the various buildings in Ybor City, and we have one coming up at the upcoming meeting in September. Finally, as you all know, the opening of the new Hyatt Hotel is scheduled to occur on September 24th at 10 a.m. The Ybor City Development Corporation staff and its board has done everything and anything in its power to make Ybor City a welcoming, cultural, and vibrant part of our community, for which we can all be very proud to live, play, and enjoy the scenery. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not commend the fine work of our staff, Courtney Orr, Brenda Thrower, Corrine Liebrink-Wayne, and Shalisa Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbers, for your report and your service. Are there any board members that have any questions for Mr. Barbers at this time?
Mr. Veer, I think somebody went before me. I think Dingfelder. You can go, John, if you'd like.
Go ahead,
Mr. You recognize them, Mr. Veer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I would just be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my dear friend and colleague, Steve Barbas. When I was a mere 24-year-old law student, I clerked over at Steve's law firm, and he's been a friend and mentor ever since to me. And the city of Tampa is very lucky to have him. He's also an assistant city attorney and just one of the finest people here in the city of Tampa. I'm a big fan of Steve's, and I wanted to thank you and everybody in the YCDC for your hard work. A lot of improvements, obviously, in Ybor City, but we got a long way to go. But I just wanted to thank you in particular, Steve, for your service to the city. You're a great person, and just wanted to thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
I
Mr. Dinkley.
appreciate those nice comments. And Louis, I'll give you that $20 later.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Dingfellow was next.
Louis took the words out of my mouth. We appreciate Mr. Barbas and his family, including his bohemian artist brother hanging out on the beach. But on a serious note, Steve, I've had some concern about the streetcars. The Streetcar Society put so much work into those, into the historic streetcars, and I think they're such a nice addition to YBOR for the last 20 years. And I have concerns about this modernization plan. I've been talking to our transportation folks about it and the heart a little bit. But is there much discussion over at the YCDC on this issue and in regard to what we can do to make sure that that we don't lose those historic streetcars?
Well, I can only tell you, and I'm sure Courtney's going to address this in a minute, at our last scheduled meeting, Heartline presented probably close to an hour presentation of their proposals with regard to the old and new. So as I understood it, they intend to utilize both. There are many benefits. And personally, I am also a member of the Streetcar Society, and I've got my little conductor hat. And I was extremely excited when they started the streetcar in Ybor City. And I think it adds so much to the community. But the realities of the situation are, at least as we were told, is that there are a lot of problems, both by way of ADA type issues, issues with regard to loading and unloading people and capacities, that with these new streetcars, they seem to believe, and I say they meaning Heartline, seem to believe that this would be probably the most efficient and long-term proposal, utilizing both. That being said, I can tell you that the YCDC board was not, I would say, unanimous at all in their response to how well it was received or not received. Certain members expressed reservations about the proposals as they were originally made, and asked that everything be done to try to keep the integrity of the historical integrity of the streetcars as they were, and try not to eliminate those at all, for one. And number two, I think they talked about adding additional streetcars which are being refurbished and remodeled, and then also the new ones that are being added. So it's still an ongoing process, but I think it's one that there is a lot of room for discussion in the days to come.
Steve, I appreciate you, and seriously send the reps our best too. I served in front of him for several years when he was on the bench, and did a great job. Hey, listen, Michelle, I'm sure you're there somewhere. I'm not going to make a motion, but I just request that you ask the Heart folks to come over and give us a presentation on that important issue at a future meeting. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Michelle.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Chair.
You recognize the Citro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Chief, thank you, Steve, thank you very much for that great report. Having been a member of the YCDC for 6 years, I'm glad to see that it is still going strong and making Ybor City a wonderful place, not only for entertainment, but for residents. The growth of the rental and the home ownership in Ybor City has expanded. And I'm also glad to hear that we're keeping Fran happy with the East Gateway. So, Steve, thank you very much for your help, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just making sure you can hear me. I had trouble
Yes,
logging
sir.
in and out. This is Scalco. Thank you very much.
Did you want to be recognized, sir, or are you just checking in?
No, just checking in. Thank you.
Any other council member on this item?
I'll add in, this is Carlson.
You're recognized, sir.
Mr. Barbers, thank you for, as my colleagues have said, for your service, but also your family. You have a great family that's contributing a lot in many different ways in the community. And thank you all for the YCDC and everything, all the volunteers and staff are doing there. My day job office, or my other job office, is now in Ybor, and I love even during the pandemic, seeing all the positive changes that are happening there. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm a big supporter of rebricking 7th and potentially other streets if we can too. So let me know how I can help on that. Thank you.
Sure will. Thank you. We have a subcommittee, Bring Back the Bricks, so I may hold you to that.
Any other council member? Ms. Barbers, thank you again for your service and your commitment to the YCDC. We'll move on to item number 2, monthly reports on CRA activities. Ms. Brown.
Good morning. For our September monthly report, I'm going to turn it over to our new CRA manager, Jesus Nenu, for the West Tampa report, and then Drew Park.
Good morning, all. This is Jesus Nino, Urban Development Manager for the West Tampa and Drew Park area. I'm very happy to be here. First to report is the Community Advisory Committee for the West Tampa area continues to be very active, which really impresses me compared to the other communities I worked in where you could barely get them to come to the table. So I'm very impressed with West Tampa CAC. They continue to be very involved in several projects. The next item is the revisions to the West Tampa overlay project. That's going pretty smoothly. The CAC approved some of the amendments to that. Now it just has to be processed by the city. There are a few little legal issues trying to resolve, and once those are resolved, then we can proceed with that cycle amendment for that item. Also, staff here at the CRA, we continue to keep the West Tampa community informed as much as possible through our distribution list, and individuals that have concerns, they call me, Shalicia, or anyone here, and we try to resolve their issues as quick as possible. Also, the newsletter for the West Tampa area is continuing to run pretty smoothly. Once we get that done, hopefully in the next few days, then we can run that through the CAC. Next slide, please. I see the slide's not up. Next one, please. Next one. Sorry about that. Didn't realize the slide wasn't up on the screen. Now I'm getting into the indirect CRA activities in the area. This one is a very exciting project, which all of you are very aware of in the community as well, the West River Development. That continues to run pretty smoothly. TICO is undertaking two large projects there to make sure that the project makes it to the fruition. One is phase 1 is undergrounding distribution lines along Rome Avenue and Nassau Street, ending at the West River. After driving the area, I think that's already begun. The next one is also with TICO in their phase 2. They're replacing lines and on poles starting at Habana Avenue and running to Armenia and Chestnut and extending to Rome Avenue. There's going to be a little bit of traffic disruption with that, but staff and TICO and the rest of the development community there, they're making sure to keep the property owners informed on that, and if any issues arise, then they'll take care of them. Construction also continues for 3 7-story apartment buildings at the West River Development Project, and that's a large project, 371 unit apartments and 6,300 square foot of retail space. So once that gets on the tax roll, it's going to be very exciting for the area. Next slide. Also, other indirect CRA activities in the area. Site prep continues for a new 200-unit luxury apartment complex on the square block bounded by Armenia, Howard State, and Lemon, adjacent to the JCC. And construction also continues on phase 2 of the Green Spine cycle track spanning 2.6 miles along Cass Street. And that's pretty exciting because it will connect the downtown to West Tampa, East Tampa. It's a $35 million project. Construction on the $35 million Cypress Street outfall stormwater projects is being constructed concurrently with that. So we're pretty happy with that. Next slide. I'm going to move on to the Drew Park CRA area. Is there any questions to the West Tampa?
Any questions from any board members?
Dingfelder.
Mr. Dingfelder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And welcome board. So, in regard to the TICO undergrounding, can you go back to that slide? two slides back.
Right there.
There it is.
Okay. So how did that come about? I'm glad that we're undergrounding power lines. How did that come about? And is TICO paying for all of that, or are the developers paying for that? Is the city paying for that?
It's TICO and the developers who are in charge of that project. I'm not sure of the exact history of that, but I know that it's TICO and the developers that are dealing with that cost.
When you talk about the West River property is the city property, correct?
West River, that's Housing Authority property.
Oh, so we're not talking about our property over on the river, Michelle. I know this is something that's been hanging around a while.
No, this is the large West River development there that has construction started and a few buildings already up.
Okay, all right. Well, good. Well, I'm glad they're undergrounding, and it's what we need to do as a community. Thank you.
We can go back to the Drew Park slide. There we go. Thank you. Drew Park activities. The Tampa Bay Boulevard linear park construction is basically complete. The only items that are left now are the installation of some trash receptacles, decorative ones, and I think those should arrive any day now. They can be installed. Then we also need to install a meter for the lights that were installed on the park there by TICO. They'll do that. Once that's up and running, then we can test the lights. Then also we have 2 signs that are being installed, that will be installed pretty soon on the park. The design for those signs has been created now. We just need language, historical language, so we're working with staff here. Then we'll take that language back to the community advisory committee there so they can approve that language, and then it can be put into the signs and the signs can be installed. The Drew Park Strategic Action Plan update, that continues to move forward. We actually had our first live or virtual meeting on August 27th. About 15 participants participated in that, and we're in the data collection phase right now. The meeting itself was pretty exciting, and all the participants that were on the phone call and the virtual meeting, they had a lot of very valuable information to contribute. And also staff here continues to do outreach to some of the business owners out there to see if they have any input, so we can include all of that into the strategic action plan update. Next slide, please. These are indirect CRA activities there in the area. This one is extremely exciting to me. I don't know too much of the history of it, but across the street from the Drew Park CRA, right outside of the boundary along Air Cargo Road and Osborne, the CAE USA company is building a new $40 million, 250,000 square foot facility. They plan to relocate 500 existing employees there to the area, then add 100 new jobs there. With that, hopefully that spills over into the Drew Park area as far as needing vendors and also some of their employees going out there and shopping around or catering some of the business in Drew Park. So we're pretty excited about that. The newly opened craft brewery, Two Shepherds Tap Room, that's been open for a little bit now. I drove the area and it seems to be being used by customers pretty frequently. I've been there a few times, at least driving by, and it has a lot of cars out there, and they seem to be abiding by social distance guidelines, so we're happy about that. Next slide, please. Or actually, that's it for Drew Park. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from any board members?
Just one quick question.
You recognize Ms. Dingfelder.
I was reading some Tampa history the other day, and Charlie probably remembers this. I don't. But anyway, I do remember that the old Tampa International Airport was right there on the edge of Drew Park before they built a new one. And Drew Park apparently was an extremely thriving business community, had its own chamber of commerce. And that's what I wanted to mention to you, sir, is at some point, just like other parts of town have, West Tampa has its own chamber of commerce. Perhaps you could inspire some folks to consider Drew Park having its own chamber of commerce, because apparently it used to. But Charlie, what I read about was this Bark Keys restaurant, which was apparently an extremely successful restaurant in the old Tampa airport, which was in Drew Park, and I'd never heard about it. So anyway.
Thank you, sir. We'll look into that.
Anyone else? You may continue, sir.
That was it for Drew Park. Thank you.
We'll turn it over to Courtney Orr and the YBOR CRA.
Hi, this is Courtney Orr, the Urban Development Manager for YBOR City. I want to first off thank Steve. Steve, you did a beautiful job if you're still on the line. I really appreciate you stepping in for Chris, and you said everything perfectly, so thank you. I'll start off with our direct CRA activities. We are very happy with the firms that responded to our YBOR marketing contract that we've had out, and we'll be interviewing the top 2. We've already had a review committee evaluate the 5 that were submitted, and we are very happy with the 2 top candidates that were scored. So on Monday, we'll be having an online meeting with them to determine who is the most successful candidate that we'll present to you in October. As Steve mentioned earlier, we had 19 events approved for funding, and as we did last year, if any of these events, or this fiscal year, if any of these events are unable to take place because of the pandemic, many events were canceled, as you know, we keep those funds in that fund balance, and we actually offered the opportunity to those that had to cancel to come up with a creative way to either virtually create an event or do something that would still help promote YBOR City and possibly drive visitors into the district or customers to the restaurants, et cetera. For instance, City Tampa, YBOR City was the backdrop to Tampa City Ballet's proposed switch of an event to have a video done of all the ballet dancers performing in the streets of YBOR City. So they haven't actually debuted the video yet, but I've seen a teaser of it, and it's a beautiful video. So once we receive that approval to share it, we definitely will share that with you. As far as August, YCDC board and committee agenda items, you've seen the independent venue support letter that we shared with you, that we wrote to Governor DeSantis and Senators Scott and Rubio. So those have been sent, certified. And then the special event grants I just spoke of. And then we do continue to push out all city and county financial assistance programs to our YBOR businesses. So we're consistently and constantly communicating those financial avenues for businesses that can take advantage of those to do so. We will be having security cameras installed. We, as the YCDC board, wanted to have additional security cameras along 7th Avenue. So we engaged with TPD and asked that they secure their security camera contractor. And we are funding up to 10 cameras to place along 7th Avenue. And three of the 10 will actually be put into Centennial Park. And we're hoping to have that completed by the end of next month. And then the new marketing initiative I've mentioned in the past, the postcards that were mailed to the entire community to get them more engaged and understand that we have the COVID resource page on our YBORCityOnline.com website. And we're still encouraging submitted images to be submitted for the view outside of people's windows so that we can still share that with the larger public of the characteristics of YBOR. And then frontline, we're continuing to appreciate the frontline workers by posting a historical image with an inspirational quote each Monday on our social media platforms. And then marketing and communications RFP update I just mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. These are some items that I already went over. And then again, the letters of support, there's a little bit more detail there in regard to the content of the letters that were sent regarding asking Rubio and Scott to co-sign Senate Bill 4258, which is the Save Our Stages Act that would provide financial assistance to those venues that are still closed, that have been closed since March. And then we've also asked Governor DeSantis to offer some sort of roadmap to how those entertainment establishments can begin to reopen, and offered up our assistance, not anticipating that it's all up to his staff and him to actually come up with a plan. But we have eager venue operators that would love to participate in the creation of such a plan. And then we submitted a letter to the county, basically piggybacking off of what the city had recommended to the county with the CRAS dollars as far as helping to support the for-profit venues. And then we've been engaged with Hotel Haya. They have been working with mobility department and staff, YCDC staff, in regard to trying to create their valet parking operations as they enter the final stretch of their grand opening ceremony this month, which is just around the corner. Today's the 10th, so in 14 days, they'll be having their grand opening ceremony. And staff, the YCDC did do a sneak peek with the general manager last week, and it's coming along and it's beautiful. And I think, as anticipated, everyone will be extremely impressed with the beauty of what they've created. Next slide, please. And then you'll hear in just a minute about the request for approval for the Historic Cuban Club facade grant. They have submitted a grant for $32,500, and so more information to come on it here in a minute. And we are engaged with the Arts Department regarding a citywide monument and memorial policy to present, hopefully by the end of the year, to administration. It came up recently because there was a request to put a statue in Centennial Park. The gentleman that they wanted to put a statue of had no ties to YBOR, so the committee had to say, we didn't see the value in that, since the gentleman had no direct ties to YBOR. But now we're trying to create a citywide policy that we have something to point to in the future. And then there's a couple items there that you'll see we, on a daily basis, continue to see that we create positive aesthetic improvements in the district. Next slide, please. And we are lastly, we are just really happy that the Saturday market is going to be reopening this Saturday. So if you can come out and experience the market, I know that the vendors were hand selected that fall within the appropriate CDD guidelines. So they'll have a selection of vendors at Centennial Park from 9 until 1 o'clock this Saturday. And they are celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. So unfortunately, they've obviously been closed down for several months, and so now they will be having their reopening debut this Saturday at Centennial Park, 9 to 1. And then I hope to see each of you. I'm sure you'll receive an invitation at this highly anticipated Hotel Hyatt grand opening in 14 days. Thank you. That ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Shore. Any questions, any board members? Any questions? All right, Ms. Van Loan, we'll move on.
Good morning again, Michelle Van Loan. Before I go into the East Tampa CRA, for any history buffs or airline buffs or plane buffs out there, if you do find yourself out in the West Tampa area, once we open up again from COVID, the DMV at the corner of MLK and Lois has an incredible display within their building, complete with airplanes hanging from the ceiling, memorabilia, displays, descriptions, and wonderful old artifacts and pictures. So if anybody is fascinated and interested in those, I highly recommend, once you can get in there without an appointment, that it's well worth the ride out to see the DMV. There isn't often you want to go to the DMV, but the one in Drew Park is definitely worth the ride. With that, moving on to the East Tampa CRA, we had funded $100,000 for the demolition and debris removal program. Those funds have been expended with the removal of 10 structures and clearing out those lots. In conjunction with our efforts, the general fund contributed another $88,000 to remove an additional 12 structures and clearing those lots, also the debris and the illegal littering that had happened on those lots. Again, when these structures are demolished, they are non-homesteaded properties which were vacant at the time that we were moving on them to get them knocked down. Many of them were inhabitable and falling down, and were creating a dire situation for any of the other property owners and residents that were adjacent to these properties. And most likely the CAC will be continuing this program, and they've added more money to it in the FY21 budget. Our environmental detective program, I don't know if back when he started we gave him a shout out, but Curtis Williams started this past summer as our new environmental detective when Detective Glider retired, and Curtis Williams has been a wonderful addition to our East Tampa family. He has been a large proponent and leader in bringing together a holistic approach to addressing our neighborhoods versus just looking at litter or just looking at the debris and some of the specific illegal activity. He's been bringing together a group of people from community policing and crime tracking and the homeless liaisons, and also including code enforcement and the neighborhood empowerment folks. And they're going out as a team to try to address all the needs as they move through the neighborhoods right now that are most in need. Next slide. And one more slide. On this slide, you can see the crime tracking went out and we're checking sex offenders in the neighborhood. They started in YBOR, checking the roaming houses, making sure they had all the appropriately registered people there or others that were not and shouldn't be there. The homeless liaisons were out making their contacts with our homeless, letting them know about services. And although during this first run, very few, if any, of the homeless took them up on their offers, it's even with our facade grant program, it takes several times of talking to someone before they truly start listening and opening up and be willing to accept some help. And so this will be a concerted, repeated effort to build those relationships with our homeless in the area so that we hope that we can start making inroads one by one to bring more of these people to the services that they may be needing. Code enforcement also was then tagging and making notices of violations of, again, items that are collecting and unregistered vehicles that, again, bring down the neighborhood and affect the neighbors. 3.5 tons of illegally dumped trash and furniture were cleared from the alleys and the easements. And I'm proud to say that of the impounded kittens and cats, I did not end up with any of them. One municipal cat for me is enough. Next slide. Here's some of the pictures of the team out there. You can see code enforcement. You can see the code enforcement talking with some of the homeowners and residents, what they're facing with some of these lots and the equipment to haul. Next slide. Code enforcement documenting some of the violations. Again, the trucks and trailers that are hauling out the trash and the equipment that's needed for the volume and amount of trash that is out there in these alleys and on some of these vacant lots. Next slide. Our 34th Street construction project around the roundabout. This project goes from Columbus up to Hillsborough. It's approximately 60% complete, and it should be completed by the end of the year substantially where we won't see any more traffic disruptions. Next slide. The roundabout at East 21st Avenue is open to traffic, and they just opened up the East Lake Avenue roundabout late in July, and they're finishing up construction currently on the Osborne roundabout. Once they have that finished, they will quickly mill and resurface the remaining asphalt that is around that area, around the Osborne roundabout, and then put down the final layer of asphalt. So all of that should be done by the end of this calendar year, and then it will just be the punch list, and then our CAC will work with our art folks. They've already started some of these discussions to put artwork in the 3 roundabouts that reflect the history and culture of the East Tampa community. Next slide. Here you can see the roundabout at 21st Ave and the roundabout at Lake Avenue. So we have the same kind of pavers. They consider them a truck pad. Those pavers can withstand the weight of the trucks, and they're built with a low profile and those low curbs so that as any larger vehicles go around and maneuver through the roundabouts, their tires can easily maneuver over those truck pads without doing damage to the roundabout and still allowing for safe passage through the roundabout. Next slide. The Columbus Drive Safety Project, this is not funded by our TIF, but it will have a big impact in our community. It is a complete street. So with this construction of $2.6 million, which should be slated to start by the end of the year, we will receive wider sidewalks. We will get the mid-block crossing, which is safer for our pedestrians and our bicycle riders and non-vehicular mobile residents coming through the area, and they will resurface and restripe. So for us, that's going to be a real exciting project for Columbus Drive. Next slide. Florabraska is also a complete street project. It is, again, not being funded by the CRA, but as you can see on the map on the lower right-hand corner, this is an important throughway to connect East Tampa to its communities on the west that were separated by the 275 highway going through that area. So with this construction project, it will make it much more attractive and easier and feasible to traverse through here for non-vehicular traffic to connect these communities once again. So again, another exciting project that will have a big impact for the residents in that area. Next slide. Our Southeast Seminole Heights Flood Relief Project. This again is our last project that we have coming up that will start at the end of the year. They're finishing up construction design now, and this will help alleviate a lot of the flooding that comes through the areas, especially when we have these quick downpours that we've been seeing a lot of recently, almost every other day. So this will make a big difference for our residents coming and going, not just through the area, but as they try to enter their streets to get to their homes. Next slide. Notable events, we did have our CAC kickoff with the East Tampa Community Advisory Committee for our strategic action plan with the consultants. Our staff continue to meet with private sector developers. As a matter of fact, that's going on right now with tour of East Tampa from an out-of-town business. And then we continue to hold our virtual community advisory and subcommittee meetings to keep our residents engaged during this time when we can't always be face-to-face. And that completes my East Tampa report, if there's any questions.
Any board members, any questions? Any questions? Mr. Van Loan, I do have one. My office is setting up a meeting with the legal office, code enforcement, and the administrator of code enforcement. Last week I went out, had several calls about debris and trash. A lot of these small convenience stores or fly-by-night little stores or some of the Family Dollars. And I can tell you the debris of trash that is on these properties that's going into the neighborhoods, especially towards the eastern port of Chelsea, was just horrendous. And I had to call the street team out there, the empowerment team, to come out there to clean the streets, and also code enforcement for the property owner of the convenience stores. I would like the environmental detective to, your office can get in contact with my office in reference to him being a part of that meeting. I think that's very vital that he be a part and included in that meeting. So if you would help me with that, I really appreciate that.
We sure will.
Anyone else, any questions? May I continue, Ms. Van Loan?
I'm now turning it over to Rob Rosner to talk about our downtown CRA.
Next slide, please. Good afternoon, CRA board members. Let me give you a report on the downtown CRA first. The convention center renovations, we did pick a design build firm that turned out to be Skanska and a strong team that they put together. We've been working on for the past month the initial agreement to be brought to you on October 1st, and we've had some very good meetings about that, and it's very reasonable. So look forward to seeing you on October 1st for that. The road work and the Riverwalk improvements at the Strauss Performing Arts Center have been coming along very well. They're pretty much done with the phase 2 of the work, which is the north-south portion of Tyler Extension. The road work is pretty much done. They haven't done final lift and the improvements there, or the striping there, but sidewalks are going in. The Riverwalk piece that we showed you, they just finished pouring the surface of that, and they're measuring out for railing right now. Mike Callahan has been instrumental in being out there when needed be to make sure questions are answered in a timely fashion to stay on top of the issues that come up on a daily basis there. Next slide, please. This is a photo of that phase 2. You can see the paver intersection is complete and they've already started rerouting traffic. This day that they had was still pretty dirty, but underneath all that dirt is asphalt, and utilities are pretty much done there, and they were prepping for sidewalk work along the Strauss side of the property. As I understand it, much of that sidewalk has been poured this week. To go over the substantial completion milestones, phase 1 was done in August. Yesterday was the end of phase 2 officially, and they did complete it substantially. Phase 3 is the intersection of Tyler and McInnes. There's a grade change there, so that'll be closed for probably 3 weeks while they do the utility work and raise the grade there and open back up the intersection. And then McInnes south of there, which is phase 4, we'll start that work, and that'll be done in early November, with all this being done around Thanksgiving. Next slide, please. Other indirect activities, Water Street, Tampa. The JW Marriott is on track for completion for Super Bowl. They'll be the building will be turned over to Marriott this month for them to do final bed checks and all the things that need to get ready for opening in November. They'll have a soft opening in November. Again, I'm not familiar with what day that is, but we'd love to have an opening time with them. So we'll be coordinate with SPP on that. So 815 Water Street is the towers that are progressing. They've pretty much finished all the vertical. They've done the exterior finishes. I was lucky enough to have a tour of the JW Marriott and 815 Water Street. Probably have too many photos to show, but very exciting, very good, high quality work. These units are going to be great. The views are awesome. The 1001 office building is further behind those, but on track and ahead of schedule generally. The residential tower on the H1 block is ahead of construction schedule. They're doing well on that, and we're working with SPP right now on the phase 3 master infrastructure designs that are north of Cumberland. So we're working with Thea, who is currently looking at the connection of widening, just like we did with Cumberland. They're doing a PD&E study, and mobility department, CRA, and SPP, and other stakeholders have been actively, talking to Thea about what those connections are and how they'll look. Across the street from City Hall, we have the Hyatt House, Hyatt Place Hotel. Spoke with them most recently. They're coming close to being ready for Super Bowl. They're hoping to be open there, but right now, maybe not all the floors will be open, but they do plan to be open substantially. Next slide, please. The Henry Tower, which we referred to as Tyler Residences, that's Devon Group has done that. You'll see a number of photos here shortly where that's in the background. They're moving very quickly, and we're working with them to wrap up some of their art installation discussions and questions, because that takes about a year to get that organized. And they're doing very well on their development. Looking forward to working with them more in the future. Kid Mason Recreation Center, Parks and Recreation staff has been working with us to generate the first draft of concepts, and they're about 30% complete. And I mentioned to you before who the contact was from the Parks Department. Next slide. We also have some good news. Hart has been talking about this since about 2016 for getting smart vehicles out on the Marion Transit Center. And due to a couple delays over the years and the way some of their RFPs worked, they weren't able to get a vehicle that worked. Well, we're excited to say that they do have a vehicle, and it's out and about. I don't know if they've advertised it yet. I think I kind of caught them on a trial day, but I was excited to see it out on the street. Next slide. Do we have any questions for downtown before we move on to Channel District?
Any questions, any board members? Mr. Rosler, I do, sir, reference to Kid Mason.
Yes, sir.
I know we've had COVID to come over But to me, it seems like this project has been dragging along. And I don't understand why is it dragging so long. I mean, we've been approved this a long time ago. We keep going back and forth. I mean, I just don't understand what is taking so long. I just need some answers on that. This doesn't make any sense to me, sir.
I'd be happy to find that answer for you. You know, as we do with most of our other projects, we fund it in the user department, which the Parks Department is the user department, lead the process. So I'd be happy to ask, you know, Brad Suter or Sia Wynn or someone from her staff to give you an update on where the progress is on that. But from the 30% is where we've been, the last report I had at the time of this. But I'd be happy to.
Please get a concurrent update. Parks and Rec, this project is taking too long. We've been allocated this money a long time ago, and we need to move on this. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. We'll follow up on that with you. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll move on to the Channel District CRA. So we've been moving very, very positively in the right direction with the Channel District on a number of projects. Design is coming up to 100% on a few of these, as you can see. 90%, I'm sorry, the image got cut off, at least it is on my screen. But the 12th Street Segment A portion of this, the burying of the power, that's taking a little bit longer because the port has a buyer. The port has a buyer for what's called the RV lot, which has a tail that we were going to use for an easement. And they're not going to grant an easement until that is either bought or sold, or because they don't want to encumber the property. But if it doesn't sell, we can go back to the original plan. If it does sell, then we'll be working with the new buyer on power requirements for the new building, obviously for our bearing of the power as well. So that's ongoing, but we have had great conversations with stakeholders in the Channel District for the 11th Street and Whiting Street projects that are tied here. And we're moving very far along, which is, we can move on to the next item, please. Next page. The Strategic Action Plan and Community Redevelopment Plan update. We have been working on that, and Contracts Admin has gone through that process, and we've met with the CAC about it. We received 9 positive responses and proposals, and we're reviewing those now, and we'll report back on that very soon. But very good progress in that respect. Indirect activities, the Channel Club 2. We've been negotiating with the developer on an agreement for burying the power, which that should be ready for next month. Been working with Morris Massey on wrapping up the paperwork on that and getting final numbers from TICO, which was just last week. So very good direction on that. The Daniel Corporation, they've submitted for permitting on their mixed use development. They actually closed about a week ago Friday. And we were helping them with some of the issues on the previous permitting when we moved the pump station on 12th Street out off that property and make it developable. So we were able to wrap that up with the Daniel Corporation, and we're working with TICO right now to begin the process for getting the lines buried and moved to make all that work for the North 12th Street project. Next slide, please. Does anybody have questions on Tampa Heights before we move on? I'm sorry, for Channel District before I move on?
Any board members, any questions? You may continue, sir.
Excellent, thank you. We have no direct CRA activities. We actually had a very quiet month. Soho Capital spent most of their time building the roundabouts and getting things done on the Heights Union building and preparing for Sprouts to arrive in their new garage building that they're working on right now. So they're completing their exterior cladding and windows of the building. Next slide, please. Any questions on Tampa Heights? It was a quiet month.
You may continue, sir.
Thank you. Central Park CRA, we had some good news from the Meacham Urban Farm. They've really progressed very well on their project. They've got a number of their greenhouses framed up and their foundations in, and the site work is substantially complete. And the new portion of the building that is being partially funded by the CRA is up. I'm not 100% sure if it's ready to be operational yet, but it looked fairly complete when I was there last, in about 2 weeks ago. Indirect activities, the Encore Development has 2 projects which are listed below, the Independent and the Legacy. They're 2 different developers, but they're using the same contractor. So the contractor is using one site, building the other 2 sites. The one site is being used for laydown and storage of materials. Both projects have cranes, and one's about 20% further along than the other. It's a very exciting time. They've finished the garage that I reported on before since we last talked, and they've erected the crane for the second project and have done a bunch of the foundation work and underground utilities to feed the building. Next slide, please. That concludes my report. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any other questions, any board member? Thank you, Mr. Rosner.
You're welcome.
Good morning again. This is Michelle Van Loan. I just wanted to follow up on some department issues with you. First, I would like to congratulate our East Tampa CAC members. We had our election on Tuesday, and our new members, you'll get an official memo next month to introduce everybody, show you our matrix that combines all existing members and the new members and shows you when all their terms expire. But I do want to congratulate Connie Burton, Dominique Cobb, Noreen Copeland-Miller, Jeffrey Johnson, Yvette Lewis, and Clinton Paris on joining our CAC and becoming a part of our CRA community a little bit more intimately. I also want to thank our existing members and all of the other candidates who are so dedicated to our East Tampa community. And I just want to thank Natasha Goodley for her service these past 2 years as our CAC chair, and for all her hard work to really push and move our CRA and our community forward. With that, on the facade grant program, later on your agenda, we have a approval for a release of lien. Normally these don't come to you, but the way the program is written, that if they want to get out of our lien, or currently we've changed it to covenants and restrictions, which have a 5-year commitment, the program allows them to do so, but it allows us to turn the grant into a loan. But as written, we don't have the ability or flexibility to do anything but ask them to pay back the entire loan. This is the first time that this has happened where it's been anything more than just a few months left out of the 5-year commitment. We've only had 2 other ones that were only like 7 months and for very small amounts left on the 5-year commitment. This one is after 2.5 years. They're exactly 30 months into the 60-month commitment. We don't feel it's fair for people to have to pay back the full grant amount. We do have a usable building that has been invested in by both the CRA and the property owner. And in some cases, it's not always because the property is selling. For one of our lien releases, the property owner received new funding, and his lender did not want our lien on the books and made him pay us back the balance so that we could release the lien. So in addition to this request for a lien release after 30 months of the 60-month commitment, it also includes that he would pay back 50% of the grant amount, which is just shy of $20,000. But either under new business or at the same time, I am asking for a motion to amend the program to allow us to prorate that amount so that the program allows us to base the balance due on the remaining months of the 60-month commitment versus the entire amount of the grant. So that's what you're seeing when we get to item 7 on the agenda, and what I'll be looking for from all of you to help us address that program deficiency at this time. On our cultural assets proposal, Morris is going to talk about that as item 3, and then if there's any questions, we also, as Mr. Dingfelder has mentioned, we also have a representative from the CRAS here, so we will address that as one full discussion. On the One Tampa Business Relief Grant, round 2, I'm still waiting on the last few. Some of the landlords are a little bit slow and working with us and getting their paperwork in, so I don't have the final payment. So what we did was look at all the payments made to date and what the potential outstanding requests could be for the CRAs. And I'm recommending, and Budget Office agreed, that we make those payments and then just hold the balance back in the interest accounts. And next month or in the fall, as CRA board would like to reprogram the interest into other programs, we know that we have a minimum of a certain amount of money in each of those CRA's respective interest accounts that you can then reprogram as part of your budget process or our cleanup and discussions on our CRA programs within the respective CRAs. To give you an idea of where it is at, we originally approved across all the CRAs approximately $3 million. We will not spend more than less than 400,000. So we expect to get 2.65 back of that. Channel District put up 766,000. They'll get at least 745 back. Drew Park put up 400. They'll get at least 387 back. At downtown, we'll get at least 900 back out of the 1 million. East Tampa will see at least 350 back out of the 500. Those are some of the larger ones. So there will be sizable amounts of interest left in the account that can be reprogrammed, and we'll work with the CRA board as to exactly where they want to put those dollars as we move forward with the budget process in the fall. Lastly, on the tree trimming program, there was a lot of discussion at the last meeting, and I believe it was Councilman Dingfelter who asked about our requirements for arborists, for our contractors on the city contract. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on several fronts regarding this program. The way it currently stands, we have a city contract with 4 tree trimming companies that have arborists, which were a requirement as part of the solicitation that went out by the Parks and Recs Department. When I talked with our arborists that work within the Planning and Development Department about the role that arborists play, especially in the private sector, and what our options were and the need and the role that they play, it's not a matter of just having arborists go out after the work is done to make sure it was done correctly. If an arborist goes out after the fact, it's too late and the damage is done. And if a large tree, an older tree, a grand tree is not trimmed or pruned correctly to start with, the tree could actually become more hazardous to the property and the people living on that property than it was prior to it being pruned, and at which point the tree would just have to come down. So the role that the arborists play when a tree trimming company has that arborist as part of their staff or as part of their resources is to make sure the work as it's being done is actually being done correctly for both the health of the tree, the health of our East Tampa and City of Tampa canopy, but more importantly, we're trying to address the safety for these residents, and we don't want to put them in a worse condition or at a greater risk because the tree might be a greater hazard if it's not pruned correctly. So we looked at our options for arborists and understanding the risks, and our own city staff, again, I believe Councilman Dingfelter asked, could our own planning and development arborists assist in any way with this tree trimming grant program? Again, the arborist resources and services are needed would be ours for each property, and our 3 arborists, which are responsible for the entire city, they review all the plans. They do not have the capacity to go out and monitor these services and these service providers as the work is being done for several hours per project. So it is not something that we can provide in-house, and it is something that would create a greater risk, and we had to balance that need between risk and being business friendly. So where we are now is that purchasing, and it went out either late Friday or first thing Tuesday morning, let a new solicitation out recruiting tree trimming service companies. We did retain the requirement for arborist services being available to that company, but we did loosen all the other criteria that were part of the original bid solicitation. The original solicitation was to serve the Parks and Rec Department citywide in all sorts of environments and types of tree trimming needs. And we are just looking at simple, small, single-family residential properties. So we were able to eliminate many of those more strict and larger requirements that would be burdensome for small companies to be able to allow them to participate in this bid response. The bid responses are due September 22nd, and our Minority Business and Development Office is brainstorming and in the meantime working with a lot of these smaller businesses to see how they may be able to partner and how they may be able to coordinate with each other, maybe for economies of scale or sharing services or even being subs to some of the larger jobs. So Gregory Hart and his folks are pursuing that with our smaller businesses to make this bid and this work more accessible to our smaller businesses. We will be going for a wider range. Originally, it was just East Tampa businesses, but again, for tree trimming, there are not that many tree trimming businesses out there, period, compared to, for example, lawn and landscaping businesses. So we are going to a broader audience to try and help reach out to more minority businesses. So I just wanted to let you know that's where we are. Once we have the bids back and they're reviewed at the end of September, we'll be able to report to you back in October where we are with that. As of right now, as of this past weekend, based on all of the applications received about mid last week, because they come in big, large packages and get dumped on Eva's desk, we had 177 East Tampa addresses for single family properties that we entered into the spreadsheet. Of those, 34 had already been sent out to the existing city contractors, and the pace is going a little bit faster now. The largest of the 4 city contractors came on board a week ago Monday, and so now that they're on board, we'll be able to address some of this backlog even faster. And of the 177 applications that were reviewed, 11 of those had requested a private contractor versus the city contractor. So it was a little bit under 5% had been asking to use their own private contractor versus the city contractor. So we're really trying to look at getting more city contractors on our list and being able to have the city contractors address these trees in a more expeditious manner. And we're all learning as we go. And if there's any questions about the tree trimming program, I'll take that before we move on.
Any questions? Any questions, Judge?
Dingfelder had a question. Not on the tree specifically. But you know what? You're going to do a budget presentation, Michelle?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll hold it till the budget. Thank you.
I have a question, Ms. Fenlon, just so the board can know. I've received several calls, I guess, from outside solicitors related to our tree grant. And I've asked Ms. Fenlon if she would please come up with some kind of idea or mechanism that the folks who are asking for this work to be done know that there is a legitimate person who's contacting them in reference to the work. We've experienced that a couple of times and want to make sure we've got some kind of process in place so some of these folks don't think it's another person who's not with the city and gouging. So I've heard a few have been trying to gouge, and we need to be mindful of that. And with some of these contractors or some of these possibly folks who are asking for their own person to do the work. So we need to be cautious of that, Ms. Fenlon. I've heard questions about calls about that as well.
We had received reports of people, we don't know exactly what services they provided or what they did, approaching some of our residents asking for a deposit, a sizable deposit that they could handle their tree trimming. Luckily, these residents did not turn over any money and did the right thing and called us. We spent the weekend, and some of our staff across our CRAs all pitched in this past weekend to enter all of the phone numbers and the 177 emails so that we could start sending out mass emails. And as we assign each grouping, it goes out about 10 or 12 to 15 at a time, we can then email or call the residents and let them know this is the exact company. They'll be calling you first. No one will show up at your door without contacting you first, and they'll know the actual name of the contractor that's going out. So we were able to get all of the data in this weekend so that we can start doing that, yes.
Wonderful. It just goes to show you that when a good program is on the table, people are responding, and I see that very, very frequent in this time and era. Let me just go back to the elections that were held. I'm glad that we had a multiple of people who applied to be on the board. I'm glad that the election went smooth. I just want to make sure that those folks who were not retained, or those folks who applied who did not get elected, that we contact those folks personally if we can, and make sure they stay engaged and be on some of the subcommittees. The subcommittees are so very important. That you have people who can be able to put ideas together to bring to the actual CEC board for approval and to bring to the CRA board. So I want to make sure that we stay engaged with those folks who have been for years being involved. I also want to thank the chairwoman for the last 2 years who's actually moved the East Tampa CRA. Many of the council members who have been on the board for a while know how stagnant that board has been. The last 2 years, that board has really been moved. It has brought a lot of programs, a lot of ideas, and you can see the change in East Tampa. So I do want to thank Mrs. Goodley for her work. She's been steadfast in the things she's put on the table to that board and some of the things that have been passed. So I just want to make sure that we keep these type of folks engaged and on those subcommittees so the CRA can continue to move, and they can also help those newcomers on the board, Ms. Fenlon. Thank you.
And before I turn it over to Mr. Massey for his update, we did want to announce one additional virtual meeting we're going to be having on September 23rd at 6 p.m. for the parking and mobility plan in, Rob, I believe the Channel District. So we will be sending out that information. It will be a virtual meeting. And so anyone listening that's interested in the Channel District parking and mobility plan, please look for that announcement. And with that, if there's no further questions, I'll turn it over to Morris.
Good morning, board members. This is Morris Massey in response to item number 3, the staff report that you all requested. I did provide a memo to you all yesterday, and let me go through that memorandum in brief form, and then I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Essentially, the question that you raised is whether the downtown and Channel District CRA funds could be used to provide emergency relief to public cultural institutions located in either of those community redevelopment areas who are since they are being negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Your motion also recognized that relief might be coming from Hillsborough County and that aid may render this request moot. I would note that in early September, earlier this month, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners did approve a funding grant program. I think these institutions have to apply for those grant funds through the CARES Act, providing up to $500,000 of emergency relief to those facilities. But I am also aware that some of these facilities may require additional funding for rehab or repairs required to mitigate or prevent the spread of COVID-19. And in that case, my memo in some states that CRA funds could be used for those purposes. To get a little bit more in the weeds, CRA funds can be used if consistent with state law and the applicable plan. State law allows the use of CRA funds to prevent the spread of slum and blight, including the necessary rehab and repair of buildings and facilities. Blight includes unsanitary and unsafe conditions, and COVID-19 has clearly been declared an unsanitary and unsafe condition by way of emergency orders from both the President of the United States and from the Governor and from various health agencies, both state and federal. These facilities do need to be upgraded to address this issue. And in reviewing the plans, both the downtown plan and the Channel District plan, the creation, development, and support of these cultural facilities are all listed in these plans as key components of those plans. So in some, CRA funds could be used for that purpose. We could not cover, in my opinion, operating costs, but we could help them address repairs and rehab of facilities, capital improvements necessary to address the COVID-19 pandemic to the extent that the county CARES funding or other funding sources are unavailable to cover those costs. We would need to develop a grant program and come up with the criteria and an application process. Typically, staff would be involved in that, both city and CRA staff. We would typically go to the CAC for these both these community redevelopment areas to get their input and recommendations. As you know, our CACs are recommending bodies only, so they would only be providing a recommendation. The final decision would ultimately be up to the CRA board, and I'm happy to entertain any questions if you have any on this issue.
Any board members, any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
You're recognized, sir.
Thank you. Dean Collier for the record. Thank you, Mr. Massey. Excellent memo, very comprehensive, and Ms. Van Loan, if you participated in it, I appreciate it. As I mentioned, and I kind of pulled this together late last night, so I apologize to the other venues, but we do have a representative from the CRAS on, and I'd love to hear from them in regard to what sort of major capital improvements they are planning, how they're using the $500,000 from the county, and what additional money that they need for these capital COVID related improvements. So Mr. Shepard, are you still on board?
I am, and forgive me because these days we work from multiple offices, and I'm now working from my mobile office between my home office and my workplace office. But I've got a clear connection, and I'm happy to report to you on the improvements that we're seeking to make to essentially put the CRAS into a healthy building status that would allow us to assure audience members, ticket buyers, community users of the facility, the NFL when it comes to do its honors program for the Super Bowl, as well as our staff and our students at our conservatory, a sense of confidence that everything is being done to provide for a healthy building. These improvements will be sought. People will have an expectation for these improvements for any building that invites people to mass gather, as the current terminology is used. So we're in the same boat as the cultural facilities you've mentioned, and as well as the large sporting facilities here in Tampa. And our approach is very similar to them. We got good guidance from the county as we look to apply for CARES Act money. And we're looking at generally 3 areas. One is disinfecting and sanitizing, and the likely suspects for that would be, and the largest improvement from a capital perspective would be HVAC. So we have a engineering firm, TLC Engineering, who you may know has done a lot of work here in the Tampa area, is a Tampa company and very familiar with the CRAS Center, is conducting an assessment titled Building Health and Fresh Air. So addressing the air, addressing killing virus and bacteria in the air is being carried out in major facilities, the types of facilities I mentioned earlier. And there are a number of ways to address that, and we're looking at the ones that we feel would be attainable and most effective for us. Sanitizing includes using foggers and other type of methods to clean in an effective way, but in a efficient way, so that we can, on a day when we have 2 audiences in the building, we can still sanitize between audiences, and there are capital costs involved in that. The second major category we title hygiene, and in hygiene we're looking at converting everything we can to a touchless experience. So this means touchless ticketing, touchless retail, which would be food and beverage and concessions. And there are capital costs in converting our point of purchase sales system in food and beverage, our sales systems on site for ticketing. And in addition, there is a common practice that we're seeing everywhere now of taking temperature, and there's capital infrastructure that needs to be put in to purchase temperature sensing devices. And then more physical modifications, our third category, would be ways that we can maintain social distancing through barricading and physical equipment that allows us to pulse our audience in with 6-foot distancing and limit contact between people to a safe distance. And this is both in the public arena as well as the performance arena. So as you know, a large piece of our business is Broadway, and many of the Broadway musicals have, for example, an orchestra pit, and protecting those musicians in the pit will require capital expenditure as well. With regards to the CARES Act has a capital expenditure requirement. It sounds like that's what Morris is advising you that the CRA's monies might be. And that requirement has to have money spent by December, which feels like tomorrow. So I would urge you, and just in our particular case, our mitigations pencil in somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million. Some of that not capital, but the 500,000 will only allow us to dip our toe in the water. So I would appreciate, and we always appreciate the support we get from the CRA, as well as when you meet as a city council. And I'm here to take any questions that you might need. We're going to need to make expenditures past December, and we're going to work on this right now.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Dingfield, anything else, sir?
Yeah, just as a quick follow-up, thank you, Lauren, for your presentation. I wanted the entire board to be aware of the needs at the STRAS. As things get better in our community, they want to open up, and they want to bring things back, and maybe by next year, hopefully bring Broadway back to the STRAS and all these important things culturally for our community. But they can't do it without some significant capital expenditures. Mr. Shepard spoke to somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million to $2 million. If the county/federal government can only kick in $500,000, they still have a big void. And I think that normally the CRA, might not be doing, this type of thing, but we're in an unusual and emergency situation, not only with the STRAS, but clearly with some of our other institutions. And I think we need to reach out. I talked to Tampa Theater briefly, and I know you're on that board, and I guess we have representatives on the various other downtown institutions. So I think we need to reach out and see what they're doing and what their needs are. But I'd like us to start expediting this process, and that would include Ms. Malone and her budget people, seeing what we have available, and then what sort of kind of CRA grant program for large downtown or channel side institutions that we can work on. The good news, Mr. Shepard, is that it's sort of good news, bad news is we wouldn't have a December 31st deadline per se, but at the same time we do want to expedite it so we can be a meaningful part of your capital program. So with all that said, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want to wait for motions to the end of the meeting or if you want them as they come.
I prefer we wait for motions at the end of the meeting. I do have a question. Maybe I misinterpreted it. My understanding is the county does have CARES Act money to give to the STRAS Center, and that money is utilized for only circumstances, and our dollars can only be utilized for certain areas if we gave money to the STRAS. Is that correct, Mr. Morris?
Our money, like the CARES Act money, is coming from the county, is governed by federal rules and regulations. And what Mr. Shepard's describing, I believe, is generally correct. The Federal CARES Act does require that the money be spent on capital improvements. Likewise, the CRA, because we're talking about rehabbing and repairing facilities to deal with slum and blight conditions, we would be talking about capital improvements as well. What we would be looking at is funding, gaps where the $500,000 that they're receiving from the CARES through the county through the CARES Act program won't cover all their eligible capital improvements. And if we come up with a program and we deem those improvements to be eligible, we could fund, the balance. We would not allow them, I don't think, to ask for, money from both county in the CARES Act program for, an HVAC improvement, and then for us to fund the same HVAC improvement. But, if that improvement cost $1 million, for instance, and so they get $500,000 from the county for that, and conceivably, depending on how we construct our grant program, it could help fund that balance. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir. You answered my question. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. I appreciate the question and the response from Mr. Massey, because that's sort of where I'm thinking this might head from the CRA. We don't have an endless supply of money, and clearly the city budget doesn't really have any money. But I think the CRA budget has a little bit more latitude, and probably at the next meeting, Ms. Van Loan can tell us about that. But I think that there might be an opportunity, for us to plug some of that gap and maybe come up with an additional $500,000 to help them get that HVAC COVID, specifically the COVID HVAC system, installed in the so anyway, it's not an overnight proposition. I appreciate it. I'll make a motion.
Mr. Chair.
You recognize Mr. Carlson.
Thank you to Mr. Dingfeld for bringing this before us. In talking to staff, it seems that we could have up to $2 million, as I understood it, from which several arts groups in downtown could apply under the criteria that Mr. Massey described. You all probably know that for years the arts institutions have been underfunded, and they've all survived. Many of them are in buildings that are all or partially owned by the city, and in some cases, some of the contents of the buildings are owned by the city. And I think the city has an obligation to support these institutions. They're not only nice to have, they're major economic engines, and they contribute to the quality of life that causes the best companies and the best people to move here and stay here. Not supporting them could be disastrous for us. And as Mr. Dingfelder said, it appears that the city budget has no room to maneuver. These institutions are not going to get the money that they need from other sources. They got to cobble together bits and pieces from different sources to try to add up to what they need. And I think if we're looking at what a CRA could do, CRA or government should fill gaps that the private sector can't fill. And the arts and these kinds of institutions that are partially owned by the city and or county are areas of gaps where I think we should fill. So I would be in favor of a motion later to create a $2 million fund under the criteria that Mr. Massey and Ms. Van Loan could describe, through which the arts groups could apply. And then further to that, as we're looking for a future discussion about potentially sunsetting the downtown CRA, I think we ought to make sure that at least the STRAS Center is included in some funding there, because as Judy Lisi, I think maybe said publicly, or she's at least said privately, to rebuild an institution like that or to have it recover from not keeping it up would cost way more than what little money we would spend to try to expand it and renovate it. And it's a world-renowned facility, not to mention the other arts institutions downtown. So thank you.
Any other board member? Any other board member? Again, Ms. Dean, for the all motion, we'll take up at the under new business. Mr. Massey, anything else on this item?
Nothing on this item, Mr. Goods, but if I could, there are a couple of additional items I wanted to quickly address from a legal standpoint, and I won't take up much of your time, but they're not on the agenda. But one item that Ms. Van Loan, the CRA director, asked that I address with you all is both the CRA board and I think some of the CACs have discussed over the last couple of months workforce training and apprenticeship programs and the CRA's involvement with that. And I did want to make it clear to you all, and I've looked at this issue, that neither the Act nor our CRA plan support workforce training generally. So we couldn't come up with a generic program that's funded by the CRA workforce training. But what the CRAs can have and can support are workforce training when it's part of a community redevelopment work that's being done and is being funded by the CRA. For instance, city infrastructure projects or cleanup of debris in the East Tampa area, which is being funded by the CRA. That has and can include assistance by and training of residents within that CRA as part of that effort. And we could extend that to community redevelopment work that's being conducted by not-for-profit or private entities in connection with approved community redevelopment projects being funded by the CRA. So in that sense, we could help, and I just kind of wanted to put that in context for everybody so that if that comes back, and I'm sure it will, given the circumstances that we're encountering economically, but how we can maybe assist and how we need to frame those types of programs. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but I did want to briefly address that with you all today.
Any questions, board members? Any questions? Mr. Massey, thank you
yes, sir.
for bringing that up. This is something that's dear to me because I know the need of workforce training and people being able to bring home a piece of the pie of the American dream. I'm glad that we didn't say what we can't do, but say what we can do, like I always say, and we can do something. So I'm glad you were able to find a way we can be able to help with some workforce training to where it's specifically zoned for that particular area to get some work done, which we very, very need a lot of cleanup, especially in a certain particular CRA. So thank you for the work on that, sir.
Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
You're recognized, Mr. Carlson.
Just to add to that, as I understand it in conversations with Mr. Massey, we can't, CRA cannot invest in the training itself, but we can invest in infrastructure. And so, as I understand it, it's not that there's a shortage of buildings, but we could invest in some kind of building that could have a nonprofit or other agencies work out of it to do workforce training. And or I would like to see a entrepreneurial incubator or an expanded entrepreneurial incubator. But maybe that's a conversation for another time. Thank you for bringing up the idea, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. I think that's great that Mr. Massey can bring that back to the CAC so they can understand that concept, because you're right, Mr. Carlson, there are a lot of abandoned buildings that you have some workforce training that you can have refurbished, and that's why I always talk about rehab. It's so great for East Tampa, and probably after the new board is set up in East Tampa, I'll be bringing a motion to the table in reference to a grant-funded type rehab program. Mr. Massey, you can continue, sir.
Absolutely, I'll be happy to follow up on those, and there are opportunities, obviously, where the CRA can assist, and if we can legally do it, we will certainly try to support that. The last item, and this would be something that you would need to bring up at the end of the meeting when you entertain motions, Mr. Chair, we have the opportunity to purchase some property within the boundaries of the downtown CRA for affordable housing development. I believe that contract will be coming before City Council next Thursday, September 17th. However, the funding for the purchase of that property would come via the CRA, the downtown CRA funds. That's what's being proposed. And therefore, what we would like, if this is agreeable to the chair and to the rest of the CRA board, is that you would have a special call CRA meeting next Thursday, September 17th at 10 a.m. or after the BOCC regular meeting. BOCC City Council, I've been up all late tonight, I apologize. City Council regular meeting. In order for you all as the CRA to consider whether you're willing to support the funding of the acquisition of that property with the use of the downtown CRA funds. So that you can address that later on in the meeting, but I did want to put that on your list. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Just a reminder, Mr. Messer, when we get to that point, just bring it up again and make sure you put it on the floor for a vote from the Scout. Anything else, Mr. Messer, in reference to any updates?
No, sir. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to item number 4, staff report for CRA FY21 budget.
Good morning, Michelle Van Loan again. If I can have the PowerPoint for number, oh, perfect. You're right on it. Thank you, Sulene. So for our budget approval process, we're going to go through just a quick PowerPoint to let you know what our priorities are and where we're headed with the budget. I was busy this morning printing you all hard copies, forgetting that it needs to be emailed and virtual to you. So as soon as we're done with this meeting, I will email it to you. For anyone listening, it will also be posted to our website. And now that I printed them, I will be delivering to your office hard copies of the actual budget book. We will then have a couple of weeks for the CRA board to come back with any comments, edits, talk with staff in detail about any questions they may have. We'll incorporate that. We ask for your comments to come back by September 25th, and then we can incorporate that into the final draft that following Monday, which will be uploaded into SIRE, and will also include the services agreement. And the services agreement draft is also in the draft copy that you'll be receiving, again, right after this meeting is over. So that's how our process will work. So where we're headed as the CRAs, if you can go to the next slide. And one more slide. Our revenues across all our CRAs as your agency, last year we had a little over 33 million. This year we're at 39 million. So we've seen a nice, healthy $6 million increase across all our CRAs. We're very happy with that rate of increase. And if you, this slide, stay on the slide one second. This shows it and breaks down that 6 million increase by CRA. So you can see that several of our CRAs have seen some very healthy increases between FY20 and FY21. The smallest increase is in YBOR 1, where it was 8.8%. And again, we mentioned this earlier in the summer, citywide property values increased an average of 8%. So our CRAs across the spectrum are seeing a greater rise in property values and therefore the wealth for our residents and the value of their properties as we invest and our communities continue to evolve and we continue to create a better quality of life for our residents. Next slide. On this slide, you can see the vast majority of our money does go to the capital improvement projects, as seen at 53.9% in the top left-hand corner, and then also our programs and incentive programs. So between the two of those, you can see the vast majority of our money is spent there across all the CRAs. Our staff is only 3.8% of our entire budget. Next slide. And one more. So for our downtown CRA, our focus for FY21 continues to be our commitment to the Tampa Convention Center and those renovations, continuing the rehabilitation of the Herman Massey Park, which is being funded out of the downtown CRA. We still have our commitment to the SPP and completing their second phase of public infrastructure. And as we showed you planning budgets over the past few months on other discussions, you saw that that was regularly funded through the next several years to fulfill our commitment to their project. We are also continuing to facilitate the construction of downtown development. Our CRA staff downtown, Rob and now Mike, continue to work with many of the large crane and developers you see out there. So whether it's the JW Marriott, down closer to the water along Marion Street or 815 Water Street, the Riverwalk Place. Rob spends a lot of time out at AER Tower where they're redoing the roadway. So our staff is still actively involved, even when it's a third-party private developer out on these projects. And lastly, for the downtown, events and visitors continue to be a vital contributors to the economic health of our downtown and also to the diversity of our downtown. So as we bring in visitors and guests to our downtown area, it helps support the multiple different retail and commercial establishments, not just for our business people and residents, but also for the regular stream of visitors that we experience. Next slide. So for the downtown budget, we saw about a $1.5 million increase from the previous year. You can see it's been a nice steady increase. Nothing overly sizable as far as a jump up, but it is a nice steady increase that aids in our planning over the next couple of years. Next slide. Here you'll see a little bit of detail about where our focus is in breaking down that $16.5 million. You will see in our remaining balances that there is that $17 million in community improvement projects, and I'll show you that in a minute as we talk about every month, and we talked about with the projects that Rob right now has under design. And you also see the loan repayment to the convention center for FY21. That's our second to last payment. We took out a loan so that we could get the cash up front and then pay it steadily with our revenues and be able to do several of those improvements early on. Next slide. So when you look at that balance of 17 million that you see and you think it looks like a really big balance, you see on this, all those blue, all that design, 100%, that 100% has just hit those marks over the past several months. It's been increasing each month as Rob reports to you on the progress, and you can see how many will be complete with design. So all of those projects on the right-hand side are getting ready in the next 6 to 12 months to go out for bid and construction. So that is where the vast majority of that $17 million balance is going to go to, is completing the construction of all these roadway segments. And we can move on to the next slide for Channel District. And one more. So for the Channel District, Channel Side Drive, and that improvement going all the way from Cumberland to Kennedy is the main priority. That project is almost at 100% design, and we expect to be underway before the end of the year. We are designing the remaining of the streetscape improvements for the district. As we've been showing you the planning budgets over the past several months this summer, especially for downtown and Channel District, we showed you those lists of infrastructure projects and segments of streetscapes that still needed to be completed. So we're moving forward with that design and the eventual construction of those streets over the next year or two. Because of some of these discussions this past summer, as Rob mentioned again, his update, we have started the strategic action plan and community redevelopment plan update. We expect that process to be completed by next spring. Lastly, again, Strategic Planning Partners is also working on Sparkman Wharf, and we work with them to help coordinate that development and also look for opportunities for further development. Next slide. Again, a very healthy increase of about $1.7 million coming into the Channel District, and you can see the benefit we're receiving because of all the development that has been happening in the Channel District. Next slide. And there you'll see again in that infrastructure, that healthy balance of $16.3 million, and that will go towards the roadway projects, the sizable amount of construction for the Channel Side Drive project that is the full length basically of the CRA, and then starting design on the remaining segments on the list. We'll move into Tampa Heights. Next slide. And one more. Thank you. Tampa Heights, Soho Capital is continuing the construction on their parking garage, the retail space, and their urban grocery store. So our staff continue to coordinate and support the development agreement and the developer in their projects, whether it's coordinating with the utilities or with the city of Tampa and our utilities and our permitting. We're regularly out on site, and then we're also working with them. We're starting to make the payments. This past summer, we made our first payment on our development agreement with Soho Capital, and we are proud to announce that the Heights Union, their office building, does have signed leases and committed businesses. And so as soon as that is over, we'll start to see businesses move into that structure and really help change the focus and energy of the Heights from residential and commercial now to a fully mixed-use community. Next slide. So you'll see that as of right now, our revenue is just starting to come in slowly. It's starting to increase. And it's a healthy increase, but we're still less than $1 million on some of these. And when we do make the money, we do pay 74% of revenues each year into helping repay the infrastructure bonds that Soho Capital took out as part of the development agreement. Next slide. Moving into Central Park. We continue to work with Tampa Housing Authority on the development. As Rob's been reporting, we have vertical construction again. We're very excited to see the construction happening. And while we may not see it in 21, in 2022, we will start seeing exciting opportunities in the land around the Tampa Housing Authority, so that the Central Park CRA will start to see development and diversification beyond just the Tampa Housing Authority. Next slide. And one more. So our budgets are starting to climb again. We're up to 116,000, so it almost doubled, which is good. But again, because Tampa Housing Authority, much of it is subsidized, we do not receive the property tax benefit. But as all these residents keep coming into the area, they will draw the commercial and retail, just like we see in downtown and other areas. And then we will start to see that influx of increasing tax revenue coming into the TIF. Next slide. And as you can see, the majority of that $115,000 is going towards district improvements and paying off the, actually just district improvements until they have a project. We did fund the Meechin Urban Farm over the summer. So now that these numbers are increasing, we will be able to start helping with some of these smaller projects. Next slide, moving into YBOR CRAs. Our focus this year, they just completed the YBOR City Vision Plan. It was updated in 2020. So now they are working towards implementing their 5-year strategic plan. They're continuing to work with attracting a good mix of residential, commercial, and professional business. Again, focusing on continuing that diversification of the community. YBOR, we bring this up all the time. Anytime we get to talk about it, most people see it as an entertainment or a food and restaurant industry. And office space is the largest percentage of square footage within the YBOR district. So we love to get to remind people about that and see the look on their face when we talk about that. We continue to focus on making it a clean and safe community for businesses and residents alike. Next slide. Again, YBOR is a very steady growth, nothing exponential, but a nice steady growth. A lot of times we get asked about opportunities for the CRAs to participate in various programs, and I mentioned their capacity. So as you see with YBOR, with a nice, gentle, steady growth, we're not able to subsidize or provide incentives to the same large degree that downtown Channelside, West Tampa, or East Tampa might with the rate of growth. It's still a healthy growth. It's still above the city average, but based on their current dollars and the growth coming, until we start getting a little bit larger numbers, we're still going to be limited to the degree that we can help people in the YBOR CRAs. Next slide. Again, this is another instance where we talk about the capital improvements and our budget. So in both the YBOR 1 and YBOR 2 CRA, we're proud to finally start being able to actually move forward with the East 7th Avenue Archway and Streetscape project. Corrine and Courtney have been working with TICO and our mobility folks on this project. YBOR 2 has been saving up for this project for several years, and all their money has been going into saving up for this project, so they finally get to move forward and start spending those dollars. So it's a very exciting time for the CRAs, especially with this project that they've been working forward for so long. Next slide. For YBOR 2 CRA, most people, we look at the YBOR 2 as the smaller CRA. This is a wonderfully large development going on right there on Adamo, just east of the 21st, 22nd Avenue corridor. So another big exciting, we are expanding our footprint from some of the older rundown businesses to a vibrant new community. Again, mix of residential and commercial. This is just down from another brewery on Adamo. And as we get these projects, we can continue with our streetscape and connecting the gateway from the more eastern part of the CRA and east of 21st Street and connect those areas to the more developed areas west of 21st Street. Next slide. Again, a steady growth, but this is a smaller CRA, but a nice healthy growth in our revenues. Next slide. And again, most of their funding for this past year, you can see the archway is where the larger numbers are and where they're going to be putting most of the revenue coming in this year so they can get this project off the ground. And that's going to be their biggest priority moving forward for this year. Next slide. Moving into East Tampa. Next slide. Our focus this year is the completion of the 34th Street enhancement project, again, going from Columbus to Hillsborough. Once the construction of that is over, we will start implementing the public art for the 3 roundabouts. We're also now implementing the many housing programs that we've been discussing and working with housing with. And as I've discussed with several of you, we're going to be working with Vanessa and the Housing Community Development Division over the next several weeks to start developing approach for what is the right mix and management for the many housing programs that are now coming out of the East Tampa and West Tampa CRAs. As we're seeing in many other areas, at the same time that the city is increasing its workload, the CRAs and our ability to fund more programs are also increasing our demand and need for services from our existing city departments. So we're now going to look at what's the right mix of the appropriate service for housing community development to more directly provide those services because they're in alignment with what they're already doing, or where it may make more sense that they manage a third-party contract or a consortium of contracts. So we're starting those discussions in the next couple of weeks to develop an approach and figure out the right size, and then work with our CACs to move forward with RFPs and scopes of work where it is appropriate to have a third party. And again, some of those programs, our housing rehabilitation program, our home buyer down payment assistance program. We just graduated another class. We're very excited about those graduates and looking forward to them getting in their new homes. Our facade grant remains a popular program across all the CRAs, and we continue to fund that. Again, our tree trimming, our 177 applications to date are a commitment of up to 442,000, and it keeps growing. So we'll be talking with the CAC if this is going to be continual ongoing, is this going to be a priority that we continue to fund it to this degree, and how do we want to do that moving forward? So that will have to be based on the demand we're experiencing right now. One of those discussions we have to have soon with the East Tampa CAC, our public art and gateway features, and we continue to invest in our neighborhood infrastructures. Next slide. Here's our budget. You can see until 2019, it was a small budget. It was just nice, steady growth, and suddenly in FY 20 and 21, we're now seeing that we're taking in enough revenue that we're able to make a difference with some of these programs and get more of these programs on the book. Next slide. So for FY 21, you can see our home buyer down payment assistance program, 900,000, the tree trimming grant, the rehab loans, land assemblage to try and assist with business incentives, and then that additional 100,000 for demolition and debris, the facade grant. So East Tampa is really looking at diversifying the types of assistance and the number of people that they can assist with our CRA funding. Next slide. Lastly, moving into, or second to last, moving into Drew Park. We are exploring further opportunities for our workforce housing development within the residential portion of Drew Park. Several years ago, Drew Park bought 2 sizable pieces of land, and this land was one of the catalysts for moving forward with updating our strategic action plan. So once we have that plan, we will look at working forward to whether that will be single-family homes divided up. Is it townhomes? Is it workforce affordable? Will we partner with someone like some of our third-party nonprofits? So we're hoping to get some of the answers out of our strategic planning process. We're continuing with our business assistance, with our facade grant, and with our fence grants. And lastly, continuing that strategic action plan, which we should have done by late spring in 2021. Next slide. Drew Park remains one of our very steady does it with their revenues. It's always a nice, easy stream. We get a little bit of money here and there, and each year or two, we're able to build a construction project and improvement project, as you've been hearing about the Tampa Bay Linear Park. And that will be a very nice park, continuing that full pedestrian access going all the way down Lois and then connecting it back up to Air Cargo Road. And our last but not least, next slide for West Tampa. For West Tampa, we have the Tampa Housing Authority. That is a big part of the construction that is going in. Those buildings are slated soon to start getting families moving in. When they do, it will help the health of our small businesses that have really struggled when many of those families moved out. We are seeing the construction of the Cypress Street outfall. We're starting, as that construction moves along, we see the streets that are put back together, and hopefully by the time the season's over, we'll have a lot less flooding. A lot of businesses and residents are waiting for when this project is done next year so that they know they can move forward and not worry about the 24 inches plus that have been sliding down their street. We also are working, as Mr. Nino.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh.
Any of the council, board members there?
We're here. I'm here.
I'm here.
Maybe we just lost Ms. Van Loan. Suling, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. I believe we lost Michelle, so we'll give her a moment to join.
Give her a moment to text her, let her know we lost her.
Do we have you back?
We can hear you now.
We're here.
Okay, I guess I was told my time was up. I guess that's the version of the Oscar music that tells you your time's up. So with that, our last steps are to come back to the CRA board in October with the full budget book for approval and with the services agreement that the CRA board amended as an amended services agreement back in February earlier this year. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them now. And again, as you review the book, feel free to reach out either to the CRA managers or myself with any detailed questions you might have or feedback.
Chairman. Chairman. Wait. Anybody there?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm here. Vera's here.
Well, maybe Mr. Vera, you can recognize me. All right, I'll just go ahead and maybe we lost our chairman for a second. Michelle, I just wanted to thank you. It was very comprehensive. I also wanted to thank you and your team for really for the past year. I think that I was just telling John Bennett that I think that the CRA team has, I just feel energy, I feel excitement, I feel motivation. Michelle, I think you're a good, a great team leader, and I think that transfers to the rest of your staff. And I just want to say, probably on behalf of all 7 of us, how far I think we've come over the last year. I think your responsiveness to City Council, to the CRA board, is very positive. And anyway, I just wanted to let y'all know that we notice these things and we appreciate it, as does the community, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And that's my part of your Oscar speech.
This is Carlson. Is Chairman Goots back yet? In his absence, I'll just move forward. What's next on the agenda?
Who is Mr. Carlson?
Okay, you there, Mr. Goots?
I'm here. I guess.
Okay, good. We couldn't hear you. Sorry. Go ahead.
You're recognized, sir.
No, I was just.
Okay, you just okay. We'll continue. Anybody else for discussion on item number 4?
Everything is a pronoun that means all that exists.
Oh, well, then we'll move on to item number 5.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question to Michelle.
From search.
You're right, Mr. Dingfelder.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, a while back, and I can't remember where we left it, we talked about doing some marketing for the entire CRA, sort of a CRA-wide marketing effort. And I can't remember where we left it, except that I know when Courtney was talking, she said, that in typical fashion, as they do year in and year out, that the YBOR CRA was moving forward with their own marketing. But I could have sworn we had a motion pending that spoke to, a comprehensive marketing effort for all CRAs. Can you remind me of what we did on that, where it's at, and maybe if Courtney has a great marketing PR firm, maybe we just can latch on to their efforts and expand the scope of their work. So.
The CACs welcomed your comments, and as you go through the budget, please notice the increase in the marketing line item across most of the CRAs. The CACs were thrilled to find out that they had that support from their CRA board. We it did come up at our last quarterly meeting of the CAC chairs. Everyone was very enthusiastic about engaging more and getting more marketing done. And at the next quarterly CAC chair meeting, we will start talking about, again, what is the best approach to go out and is one marketing company for all of us too much work? So we're going to start looking at what that structure and the appropriate structure is to tackle that. And also discuss the various needs across the CRAs to be able to handle that.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Karen. So that's still pending and moving forward, and I think the idea of that discussion originally was to try and let the entire city, the entire community know, what the CRA is, as a whole, in addition to the individual CRAs separately. So, maybe we envision a CRA newsletter that speaks to this is the CRA, and then as within that newsletter is a breakout of what's going on in the individual CRAs. I don't know, that's just my idea, but I'm sure Mr. Carlson and others could help us better than I can. So, thank you,
Mr. Chair, could I add in on that?
Yes, Mr. Carlson, you recognize.
I would recommend for the individual CACs, like YBOR, there's some branding and marketing that needs to be done to promote the area. The YBOR brand is evolving right now, as Ms. Fenlon has alluded to, and it's important to communicate that with people. As I describe YBOR, for example, people always say that in communities we should have live, work, play. I think there's a lot of play in YBOR already, and we need to promote the live and work part. And that is what's happening. Companies are moving in there and people are moving in there to live. And it's becoming more of a community like it was decades ago, although it will be different. It is a community that is culturally diverse, rich in history, and has lots of opportunities in it. But each of these other districts is evolving too and developing its own brand identity. So that's a marketing effort. But at the CRA level, what I think we need is public information, public outreach to talk to the public about how their tax dollars are being used and what it's being used for. And so instead of, it's not like branding the CRA, but it's communicating with the public about how the CRA money is being invested and that we're wise custodians of their tax dollars. Because as I've said many times, the rest of the city is subsidizing these CRAs. And so we need to make sure that we communicate how their money is being used and why it's being set aside. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may be, Citro.
Mr. Citro, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you very much. I agree with Mr. Carlson, Councilman Carlson. I know CRA in YBOR City 1 and 2 has a great marketing to it. I've often felt that when there is facade work being done or when certain monies are given for work within CRAs, there needs to be a big sign in front of those works that says your CRA tax dollars at work, and then have some sort of website or something saying, see how you can get funds to assist you or your business. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, sir. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to item number 5.
Hello, this is Rob Rosner. I'm speaking on the Downtowner Shuttle Program. When we asked 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago now, about extending the service, and it was going to last through September 31st or until the money was expended. At the time we did that, it was right before COVID. And our intention was to kind of fill the gap until HART could adopt it and go through their RFP process to get the service up and running. So not even a month later, after getting that approved, COVID kicked in and they moved into a 50% mode of providing a service. And so they're going to have more money beyond the September 31st. So we wanted to report on that the CACs were presented with the information of the program's going to end in September 31st or when the money's out. Since there's still money, they wanted to know how we wanted to work with that. The CACs that support this all voted to say, let's keep going and go ahead and expend the rest of the money. Now that should run us through sometime mid to late December. And the HART, same problem. They had COVID has slowed their process for getting the RFP done, but they're through that process, and I believe they're in the selection process and negotiating the contract with the successful bidder on that. But again, the service doesn't start for a while, and I don't have a better report than they're almost done working on it. But the service to extend a little bit further is what I was wanting to report on, that the CACs were supportive of that, and that the expectation of this service ending on September 31st because of COVID has given this opportunity to extend that service. Now, if we get into back to full 100%, the speed of that may go a little faster. It just depends on the drawdown. But we wanted to report on that because that program was supposed to end in September, but because the funds are still there and our contract says or until expended, I wanted to report on that so that there wasn't any confusion about how that was working. Any questions on that?
Any board members, any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Rosen.
Thank you.
We'll move on to required approvals. Item number 6.
Item number 6 is the aforementioned facade grant for the Cuban Club in YBOR. They suddenly had about a month and a half ago, part of the front facade of the building fell right off. So they quickly applied to get in so that they can make those emergency repairs to the front, right above the front door. I believe in your backup material, you've got some pictures of that, and the request is for $32,500.
Chairman, I'd move the item, and I want to give a shout out to our good friend, Patrick Montega and his team at the Cuban Club.
I'll second it, Maniscalco.
Mr. Dingfelder is recognized. He has moved resolution. We have Mr. Maniscalco who is seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Carlson, you're recognized.
Yeah, I just think that this is one of the most important historic and architectural buildings in the city of Tampa. And you all probably know from talking to Patrick and others that this building needs millions of dollars, and they've been trying to get money from the state and other sources. And this is a very small amount to help with a short-term repair, but somehow I think city, CRA, county, state need to work together to make sure that we fully restore this building and make sure that it's enjoyed by generations to come and that they know the history that's involved around it. Thank you.
Anyone else for discussion? We have an item that's been moved by Mr. Dingfelder, seconded by Mr. Maniscalco. Madam Chair, can you take a roll call vote?
Vieira,
Yes.
Cedro,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yeah.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is, again, that facade grant release of lien. And this resolution would allow them to sell the property and pay us back half of the grant money. We would be receiving back approximately $19,597.
Entertain a motion for this item.
I'll move the resolution.
So moved, Maniscalco.
Mr. Secret was recognized. He moved the resolution, second by Mr. Maniscalco. Any discussion? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Vieira,
Yes.
Cedro,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 8.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dingfelder, you recognized.
Thank you. Just as a follow-on to item 7, Ms. Van Loan asked for a minor policy change to give the staff the authority to prorate these type of situations in the future. So I don't think it's in our packet specifically, but I'll make that motion to direct legal and staff to make that policy change, whatever is necessary to affect that, and allow staff to be able to prorate these types of situations in the future. Does that sound right, Ms. Van Loan?
That is perfect. Thank you so much.
I'll take that motion at this time, Mr. Dingfelder. Do we have a second?
Second, Citro.
Have a motion, Mr. Dingfelder, second by Mr. Citro. Any discussion? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Vieira,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes. Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 8.
Number 8 is our requesting the reprogramming for the East Tampa tree trimming. As I mentioned, we have about $442,000 of commitment, and $100,000 was funded for FY20. So we're asking this reprogramming to be able to fund all of our applications.
Entertain a motion for item number 8.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Dingfelder. Mr. Superintendent, second.
Second, Citro.
Mr. Dingfield has moved the item. Mr. Citro has second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Viera,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carry unanimously.
That is all for staff requests. Thank you.
We'll move on to information reports and new business by CRA members. I believe that Mr. Massey did have a request. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. If it's the pleasure of the chair of the board, we would request that you have a special call CRA meeting next Thursday, September 17th, beginning at 10 o'clock or immediately after the city council meeting on that date to consider the authorization of funding for the acquisition of real estate in the downtown community development area for affordable housing development purposes.
I'll
Can I
make
entertain a
that
motion
motion
for
for a special call meeting for next Thursday, immediately following the morning meeting.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Miranda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Viera,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Dingfelder, Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carry unanimously.
Before I move on to any CRA members, are there any other items we need to entertain for any motions by CRA staff?
We are done. Thank you so much.
Then we are moving on. Mr. Vieira, sir.
Nothing, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Dingfelder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Piggybacking on Mr. Carlson and other folks' discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we request legal and staff to initiate the major facilities grant program, possibly not only downtown, but possibly in the general side as well, as it was described by Ms. Van Loan. Mr. Carlson mentioned the dollar amount of $2 million, which I think that's probably, I guess, downtown, but that sounds like a fair amount. And that the various major cultural institutions would potentially have that money to apply for grants from us over this next fiscal year. Clearly, as related to COVID and those institutional capital needs and capital improvements in the city facility.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Dingfelder. I have a second.
Second, Carlson.
Second by Mr. Carlson. Discussion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
I'd be amenable if I missed anything, Mr.
Do we have someone for discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's Dingfelder. I just wanted to make sure if Mr. Massey wanted anything else in the motion, or if Ms. Van Loan did anything else in the motion that I might have left out.
I think the motion is adequate, and we will certainly work on developing a program to bring back to you all for formal approval. So.
Okay, and how about come back, we don't need to come back next month, but maybe the following month.
November, yes, I get it. So that's, we will have something by that date.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Citro,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carry unanimously.
Mr. Dingfield, anything else, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Maniscalco,
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Citro,
Mr. Chair, great meeting. Thank you for your leadership. Wonderful reports from all the staff. CRA is looking great. Nothing today, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Mr. Carlson,
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Miranda,
Nothing today, sir. Thank you very much.
nothing from myself today. Gentlemen, the Deputy Clerk has asked me to make sure that you understand we have a special call meeting directly after this, our CRA meeting in the Galloway Pass to Mr. Maniscalco. They're asking for a 10-minute recess to reconvene, but do not log off to stay on. Is that correct, Madam Deputy Clerk?
That is correct, sir. So if everyone could just mute their lines and we will reconvene at in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Have a motion to receive and file for CRA all documents.
So moved, Maniscalco. Second, Vera.
Motion, second, Mr. Vieira. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Viera,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Ingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion
Again,
carried.
gentlemen, thank you. I'm sorry about that, Madam Clerk. Go ahead.
Motion carried unanimously.
Gentlemen, thank you for your patience and again, your leadership today as well. We will be adjourned and again, 10 minutes back for the special call meeting with Chairman Maniscalco.